Okay, I will start my clock. Okay, we're off. Yes, I have chosen Ray Galton and Alan Simpson, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Most famously known for Hancock's Half Hour and Steptoe and Son, both of which they created. To get this out of the way straight off the bat, they are the only writing duo that you have to select from this evening. And so from a purely logistical point of view, if you're trying to keep the balloon afloat, it probably makes sense to chuck them out first. I get that. And if that is your choice on that basis, I won't demur. They were both pretty thick set as individuals, and as a combination, they were a unit. So that's fair enough. But what else? For those of you unaware of the contribution of those two major shows, Hancock and Steptoe and Son, to be honest with you, I'm unlikely to be able to persuade you that they are the funniest thing ever written, or even that they might be worth half an hour of your time in front of YouTube. They were older than me, 60, 65 years ago, and most humour, if I'm absolutely honest, especially spoken, especially live humour, very little stand-up stands up. Most of us feel a degree of cringe watching Chaplin now, who was acclaimed as the greatest genius ever. I get, Norm Macdonald and Louis C.K., they're very contemporary. Who knows how things will change, and maybe they will stand the test of time. But most comedy is a pretty fragile flower, if I'm honest. And it is, as Cressida says, extraordinarily subjective. I don't think there's anything more subjective. In fact, to the extent that people get actively angry if forced to watch comedy they don't get. If you find people in a room full of an audience all laughing at a comedian and one person doesn't get it, they get incandescent with rage. They feel there's some horrible joke being played on them, that everyone else knows this is shit and they can't understand it. So I tried to choose a different criteria for greatest, and it is this. Who had such genius? There's a famous quote of Schopenhauer: talent hits a target others cannot hit, but genius hits a target others cannot see. And Galton and Simpson did that. With Hancock and with Steptoe, they created a brand new genre. They essentially created British sitcom as we still understand it to this day, and they understood the inherent comedy and pathos of the sheer misery of existence, especially in post-war Britain. Nowadays there were whole magazines, like Modern Review was essentially launched to support the proposition that Galton and Simpson deserved to be spoken of in the same breath as Samuel Beckett and John Osborne the Sartre, the existential, the howling bleakness of the despair that they confront and wring jokes out of is absolutely extraordinary. There are the occasional line or two that still stand up, but it's more a capturing of a vernacular rather than extraordinary wit. One of my favourites that always crosses my mind when the appropriate moment arises: I thought my mother was a bad cook, but at least her gravy used to move about a bit. I mean, lines like that, they're sort of miraculous. There's a kind of alchemy to that. It's not witty, it's just, it captures something so deep in the soul. Whether you watch a whole episode of Steptoe now, the pacing, if you've been trained and acculturated by Modern Family or even Friends, you'll think it drags. You'll think, get on with it, But, that's how things move on. Would Pushcast now make a World 11? Would Georgie Best even? Would Ronaldo still be stopped by Bobby Moore? I don't think so. You've got to take people in their time and place. They created the foundation. They created the concrete on which the whole edifice of British sitcom was built. And that, for me, is our single greatest comedic or even possibly cultural legacy of my lifetime. People often ask me as a stand-up, who's your favourite stand-up of all time? And I struggle, to be honest. I've seen some great gigs, but, if you really want to ask me what inspired me, what gave me succour, what salved me throughout my childhood, what did I watch my dad laugh at after a hard day at work? What did I watch his shoulders drop and his face relax in front of? It was Norman Stanley Fletcher and Basil and Sybil Fawlty and Rigsby and Margot and Jerry Ledbetter and Tom and Barbara Good and Del Boy and Rodney and Hyacinth Bouquet and Edmund Blackadder and Sir Humphrey and Jim Hacker and Reggie Perrin and Victor Meldrew, and they are all standing on the shoulders of the two giants that I present to you today as the greatest geniuses of post-war British comedy, Galton and Simpson. Thank you very much.